Hey guys, SrGrafo here, and it's time to explain what happened with the story. I only did this with Dreamworld Tales to explain Easter eggs, but I got the feeling I have to do it with this one since there is time travel, and time travel can get a little messy sometimes. So let's talk about it. For the people that don't know, every Friday for the last 2 or so years, in the subreddit, in the r/SrGrafo subreddit, we have been playing a little game where there is always a template, and people can do whatever you want with it. They fill it up and they just change whatever they want. And as time goes, these templates start forming a narrative, a story, and that story just ended, I think yesterday. So we're gonna explain that thing. Yeah, this is your last chance if you are like, nah, I don't need a fucking explanation, I can do this on my own, and you wanna check this on and be like, yeah, I got it, perfectly fine. If you didn't get it, this is the explanation video, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy to explain. So we started doing it with this one. It was just mostly goofs here and there. You probably saw some of these ones because they got spread on Reddit, and it keeps going. It was just random stuff for the longest time. God damn it, this was. And it starts when I grow a beard. Right about... Oh my god, there's a lot. Well, technically it's years of just doing every Friday. Yeah, here. Exactly here. So the actual story of SrGrafo in Time starts in this post, which, alright, I'm just gonna go one by one, and you guys are gonna be able to connect the dots pretty easily. It's just a normal hopographo begging for money, and then he managed to get a job in a company of graphos, and then there is this girl. Unfortunately, he gets fired by a shitty boss, but then again, it's because he loses his tantrum, right? He gets a tantrum or something, and he gets sentenced to prison. And after getting sentenced to prison, this become popular. He managed to show the other prisoners that he's actually very smart. This guy is a fucking genius one. Unfortunately, bad luck strikes and he gets caught out when everyone is escaping the prison. But he refuses to what is the word in English? To rat his friends, because he kind of became friends with everyone in the prison. So he doesn't tell anything to the guards. And then he has a call with the guy from the prison that got out. But he stood in the prison and he's been training. That's why he gets the big buffy body. Then he managed, after so much time, he managed to appeal with the lawyer, a good lawyer, and he managed to get out of prison. And the first thing he does is go visit his mom. Unfortunately, it's been a lot of time, so his mom has been in the hospital. And then he shows some shit. I read this one. He shows some shit to his mom, and his mom doesn't get it. And unfortunately, the time has come, and the mom needs to die. So the Green Reaper is here, but he's like, nope. However, the Green Reaper has like, yeah, I gotta do this. This is my job. I have all of these reasons to do this. But he doesn't give a shit, and he goes to this is a little weird, right? He goes to hell. What the fuck did the mom do to go to hell? Okay, either way, he goes to hell. This was a reference to Doom. I think this was when Doom was released, I think, a couple after. He had a fight with the dead. There's the minions of the dead. This one minion looking at it. And he won. He wins the fight, but the moms actually tells him like, it's okay, there's not much that can be done. It has to be done. So unfortunately, she dies. The dead piss it off. He takes the mom away. And then this little minion stays here and consolidates the graph. Then the minion decides that, hey, I kind of like what I saw. I don't want to stay in this place. So he goes back with the human. And there you go. In this timeline, this is the origin story of Billy. He's basically from hell. Then they go back to the surface in the room of this guy, and turns out to be the kid of the prisoner guard. That's why I put the little hat here. Somebody did a meme of this, of Harry Potter and the Troll. Okay. Either way, then they decide like, hey, let's not fight. Why are we gonna fight? Let's just be friends. Then they keep just getting to know each other, and unfortunately, the news strike back, and there's breaking news that something very bad is going to happen. And boom, there is the nuclear explosion. This is where everything starts going like bad for the world. And after the nuclear explosion, the first results of that is that there's these people with the dilated eyes, and clearly red dilated eyes, and they show to be extremely hostile. So basically, the nuclear explosion has caused this virus to spread out. This is the beginning of the virus. And somebody wants to get in. He doesn't get in. He cut his arm. You can see. Then there is the puking EU. Okay, this is important. In this point in the story, Buff Grafo is kind of like helping because he's beefy. So he finds a clown. There is this clown with the green hair. Unknown name. And then while this is happening, the kids are just in the other room. And it's like, do you want to see my car collection? And then we got a rework from one of my favorite memes. Is that clown that puts the makeup. I wanted to use it with this clown too. Then he explains his origin or where he come from. That they're like not taking him fully serious. Unfortunately, the what is the word? The infected people is coming in the room, and boom, then there is this other clown that looks familiar, and the other clown is like surprised to see the other one. And before he's about to kill it, the Grafo immediately like punches it through the chest, killing the purple clown. And then it shows that it was the brother of the green clown, known to be as the Pancake Brothers. You need to realize that people in the subreddit saw this and it's like, haha. And then a week later, they get to see what happens. They had to wait a week for every single one of these chapters. Okay, then they get out of there, they take the car, the house burns out, and the whole world is going to shit. Then they find that all the prisoners that escaped from prison, they meet them up, and the world is turning a little bit more of an apocalypse, kind of like Mad Max World. There was very good memes of this one. Okay, then immediately they become friends because they were already friends in prison, and he helped them, and he didn't rat anybody, so he was very loyal to the prisoners. Unfortunately, the prisoner guard is just securing the window because he's just surrounded by the criminals. Then this criminal sees the prisoner guard and he goes and hugs him. This is important for later on. He doesn't have any ill memories of the guard. Actually, he doesn't hate the guard. He actually thinks great about the guard. Then we introduce to the colorless clone. This is where it got a little trippy, but you gotta bear with me, all right? The colorless clone is this clone that is kidnapping kids, right? And then it's killing them. It's killing all of these kids. Unfortunately, he gets he gets busted by the police, and it's shown that there is only one last kid that he didn't kill. And you can see in this officer here, the one with the brown hair. That comes later. Never mind. Then we talk about the caretaker, right? There's this old guy just feeding some birds, and then there is the birds just doing bird shit. And later on, it's seen that the caretaker, this old man, is killed by this masked guy, which is the prisoner guy. So the prisoner guy kills the caretaker. There you go. And then it's shown in this post where Mike, well, technically, I'm gonna show it. I don't need to explain it. So in the same way, Mike, the mustache guy, that found the little survivor kid, in the same way he arrests the kid because he grew up and killed the kidnapper and killed the clown. The caretaker was the clown. And this kid got like scared for life, and then went up and grew up and then killed him, and that's how he ended up in prison. This is the actual story of the prisoner guy. He basically managed to kill the kidnapper, but unfortunately, Mike, in the same way he rescued him, he has to turn him to jail. And because of this reason, the prisoner guy doesn't have any bad memories of Mike, mustache guy, as a guard prisoner, because he kind of is the one that rescued him when he was a little child. So he kind of like is always grateful for that. Then you have the prisoner guy and the clown just silently introducing themselves. We have a little glimpse of what's happening on the other side of the city, where it's V is over there, left behind. In the office building, full of Grafos, but all of them have turned into zombies too. Then you have the camp, where the prisoner guy is very, very much taking a lot of attention of the clown. And he decides that he's gonna join this other group and he's gonna leave his friends. Of course, he says goodbyes, his friends understands. And then we jump a little bit to show what's happening with V. He's just showing the zombies being stupid, and there is this bird. The screamer guy these guys have to deal with the zombies in the city. And then there's the bad guys who work, and then they're beating the zombies pretty well. Unfortunately, the zombies have like these gigantic big ass zombies, and boom, of course they cannot win this fight. And yeah, the clone realizes that they're not gonna make it, so these guys are holding up, but it's not gonna be enough. So the clown goes there and starts dancing to distract the giant monsters, which, as you can see for the saliva, they're like, what the fuck is going on? And they just get very distracted. And then it's like, you cannot dance forever, but because I can dance long enough. Basically, the clown is sacrificing himself so the group can move on. Unfortunately for the clone, prisoner doesn't want that, so he grabs the clone and he throws it to the car far away from the fight. And the prisoner guy realizes that there's no way out of here, so might as well go and take out the big things. So he goes, he says, I'm not a fucking genius, but I'm smart enough to do the right thing. This is a reference to the first time he's introduced it, I think. The second time, I think. Where he says like, this guy is a fucking genius. But now he's like, I'm not a fucking genius, but I know what was the right thing to do. So unfortunately, he doesn't survive, but he kills the big guys. And it's shown in the last panel that he actually saw that the clones are the kids of the caretaker. The colorless clone that started killing so many kids and went to jail, eventually got out of the jail as an old man, and then he starts to try to live his life, feed the bears and yada yada, and then he gets to kids, which just are the clones, and then the prisoner realizes that he just left them orphaned to keep. Yeah, here's a picture of the caretaker too. So because of this, he was like, okay, let me do one last thing for the little kid that I left without a dad. Even if he hates that for all the things he did, he tries to do all of this for the little clone. All of this is shown here. He doesn't know any of this though, the clone. Then we go back to V, the survivor. She's been killing like crazy. She even made like a spear out of a scissor, office supplies, and he killed all the zombies. And then they meet each other. They finally meet each other, Grafo and V. And then they hug each other and finally reunited. And then he's Grafo, okay, you gotta join with us, come with us. But V doesn't want to go with them. And then V starts screaming at them and he's like, you gotta get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. And she starts yelling and Grafo just doesn't get it until it's shown that she actually was beaten. And because she was beaten, she becomes also a zombie like everyone else. And then we go back to a flashback of how their relationship started in the office, where they go get to know each other and they actually have a story together. And unfortunately, the flashback goes back to the present and he gets beaten. And then Mike comes to the rescue and kills the zombie. And it's shown here that Grafo didn't get beaten. It was the clown that came and put his arm around so he doesn't get beaten. And then he asks why, and the clown is honest. He's like, I don't have anything else. I have lost everything. And then Hug Me, I'm Scared. It's the clone realizing that he's gonna become a zombie, but he doesn't want to, and he wants to die. So he hugs Grafo, and you can see he's turning into a zombie in the last panel. But of course, Grafo just suffocates to kill him. You can see him here in the Someone Touches My Cheese. In the very back, here's the clone and his hat, and there is V. They made a graveyard for both of them. Then, okay, here's when it goes trippy, all right? We have this guy, which is, what is he called? Another SrGrafo, a very old SrGrafo. That is, I'm too old for this shit. And he's shown that there is some rats with fucking weird deformities going on here and there. So, I will see you on the other side. We're back to show another moment in time. And this is a very important moment where the Grafo number 055 decides to not do one thing. All they have to do is flip the key, and this Grafo decides not to do it. This is all explained a little further later on down the line. Basically, the Grafo betrays the Mike on this timeline. He stabs him, here's the knife, and then he opens another time portal to get away from this. That's just a little glimpse of something that is going to be explained way later, but it had to be shown here. Then we go back to whatever is happening with these guys. Now, they don't have the clone, they don't have V, and they have all of these zombies in their back, and they don't even have a car. That's even worse. I guess that was the point of this comic, to show that, boom, no more car, you cannot just get away freely. So now they have to run on foot, and now they're running, escaping all of the zombies, and boom, they meet up with this old guy that we met, this old Grafo. And the old Grafo is in a bunker, so he's the man in the bunker, and he is like pretty much saving them. Then he explains how time travel works, and he actually explains him that he was able to time travel before. He was one of the time travelers, the yellow time travelers Grafos that exist. And he explains all the time travel and how it's like, the easiest way to explain this, we're using Avengers time travel logic. That means that if you go back in time, you're not going back in time to your same timeline. You are going to a different timeline. Every single time you go back, it's a different timeline. So whatever is happening in a current timeline, it's done. It's set on a stone, basically. That's why those lines over here shows like every single line opens a new path. There's not like one circular thingy. Everything opens a new path. Then he explains him that, hey, I know how to time travel, so we can save everyone. We can actually fix everything. And then reshaping wrongdoings. This is shown the Grafo 055 with Mike. Just to be sure, these two guys. The guy that he betrays, we're showing them again, but before that betrayal. What were they doing before that betrayal? And before that betrayal, they were pretty much correcting the world, reshaping wrongdoings, like hitting a director for making a shitty movie, or separating two kids from knowing each other because they're probably gonna become some toxic relationship or something like that in the future, and fucking up with some people to make fun, but pretty much just doing things here and there just to reshape the future. And there is explanation that the thing about time travel, I made a mistake. The thing about time travel is that you're never the first one, because there is a shit ton of these Grafos and Mikes fixing things in the world, just traveling and fixing timelines here and there. And the one time they had to do one thing that is like, hey, turn the keys. We both turn the keys and we fix this timeline. That Grafo didn't want to do that. And then he's like, all right, let's go change the world. However, the kid with the glasses is reading how this time travel works. And then, boom, the time travel happens, but the kid cancels the machine machine before it keeps going, realizing that this is not really a time machine. What the old Grafo was doing, he was switching bodies. He made a machine for switching bodies. However, now this is the old Grafo in the beefy Grafo body, and he kills the little kid because, well, basically he's gonna kill everyone now that he has a beefy body. This is the Grafo that betrayed the other Mike. This is Grafo 55, the one that fucked it up everything, the one that didn't want to die, the one that says no. And okay, I'm gonna explain that in a bit. Of course, Mike takes the shotgun and shoot at him because he just killed his son, Junior. And then this other Grafo, the normal Grafo, starts becoming older. His hair starts growing and his beard starts growing because, you know, the machine was swatching the bodies. Old guy and beefy Grafo are switching bodies. Not fully though, because the machine was interrupted. And then there is all these little kids Grafos. I'm gonna explain in a second. And then we have the fight with the Grafo 55. We're gonna call him like that. Billy is holding up, stopping it, but then he's about to kill Billy. And this guy, this little Grafo over here, puts the watch on the main character and sends him back in time, right? So what we get from this point, until this point, I mean, is that this Grafo, the narcissistic Grafo that didn't want to die, he basically escapes that moment and goes back and starts developing technology to basically live forever, because that's all that he wants. He wants to live forever. That's why he started messing with rats. And then eventually, I never went further with this because I didn't think it was that important to explain it, but basically he starts kidnapping little Grafos to keep experimenting further. That's why there is little Grafos over there, and he's torturing them and taking body parts of them. And well, first it started with the rats and then with the little kids, just to fucking figure it out how to switch bodies to clone their versions until he finally get it. And then to his surprise, he sees a beefy Grafo in full peak condition, and he's like, oh, I need this body. So he does that and he get away with what he was doing. And our main character is now in the past. He's all the way back to the past, and he can now go back to whatever was going on because the watch is gone. And this kid over here, the one that puts the watch, you can see his scarf in his face because this comes later on, all right? So then this Grafo realizes like there's nothing. Okay, this is when he gets to the dark timeline. He realizes that there is nothing he can do because all of the events are in the future and he's in the past now. And this is when a timeline. Okay, how to explain this? And this is a little fucked up, right? But with all his frustration, this Grafo realizes that okay, he needs to stop. He needs to stop all of this shit from happening and probably start doing everything right. And the way to do this, in this fucked up way, is to start killing every single person like Grafo 55. So he needs to grab every single person that is like Grafo 55, basically every person that is evil, and killing them. To his benefit, almost all of these people are kids because this is in the past. He's been sent to the past. And because he spent that time in prison, he knows who is every single criminal in the city. So he starts killing every single criminal in the city. That's why it's called the darkest timeline, because it's his only way to be like, I'm gonna fix everything by killing every single person that is evil. That's why he picks the mask, and he's about to become the colorless clown. Basically, the colorless clown is a Grafo from a different timeline that is killing every single criminal when they were kids because he knows them and he's trying to fix everything. And the one criminal he doesn't kill is this one guy because he remembers who he is. And I canceled a couple of things in the story because I don't know how to explain it. Basically, the original script, Grafo goes and kills his parents because he was like, I need to stop Grafo 55 from existing. But then I realized that he's not gonna do it. There's no way he's gonna do that. So I changed the script to this. So now we meet again with this guy. This guy over here, the guy with the scars, is the little kid that gave the watch to this Grafo to get away from here. It's the same one. Of course, he had a lot of adventures and things going on because he's already a normal age Grafo. Then he shows it like, okay, he explains that you cannot save your timeline, but you can save this one. And they go back to the exact moment where this thing is happening, where they are we're in the nuclear reactor about to explode. And then they confront him. They confront the Grafo 55 before he gets old and everything. Just before it just derails himself. He get busted and there you go, you're accusing me of things that didn't happen. Well, technically that's true. And before he gets arrested, he fights back, and of course Grafo doesn't want to let Mike to die. So he takes the knife and then he kills the actual Grafo 55. Unfortunately, only this Grafo 55 is dead. But there is a beefy, half-faced Grafo 55 running around in some timeline, doing whatever he wants. But this one is dead. That's the problem I realized with this kind of time travel, that it doesn't matter matter how much you think you're fixing everything, you're just fixing it for yourself, because these worlds that are messed up. His last world, his last timeline was fucking messed up. Almost everyone was dead. So they're saving this one. And what's happening here? Tuomas stay. Yeah, he explains the keys, that you need to flip the keys at the same time. And this time he's doing the right thing instead of what Grafo 55 did. He's like, you ready? And the last chapter, for obvious reason, I didn't want to put this chapter in several weeks too. So I was like, all right, let's show what happens in one last ending. So a hell of a ride. And this is not a time travel portal. The time travel portals are blue. This is just a portal. So this Grafo, the Grafo P025, I think is the number, opens a portal outside of their location. They can see the nuclear reactor up there. And then he tells him that, of course, he already lived his life and already done everything he wanted. I kind of want to make a story of what happened with all of those adventures, but maybe in the future. But basically, he takes sort of the normal Grafo, or Grafo, and he takes it out of the reactor with the portal, and he stays inside the reactor. Then he closes the portal, and then there's the explosion. So in this explosion, that Mike and that Grafo died. And because of they died over here, there's not going to be a nuclear explosion. There's not going to be a massive virus ruining the world or anything. So basically everything is kind of fixed. Everything is kind of good in this timeline, not in the other ones. The other ones are fucked up. But in this one, everything is fine. And then you have Grafo reading about, the nuclear explosion avoided by 2 unknown workers, because nobody knows who they were. Like, especially if you're dealing with time travel, it's like they don't have IDs or anything. It's just new people in the world, two unknown people. They blow up the little energy and only that room exploded. And this is for Plague, that comes later. And yeah, pretty much that's it. And then he meets with V. Of course, he cannot really tell her that it's like, I know you and I were a thing and yada yada. But maybe he does. And I just wanted to leave it in that note. But maybe he does tell her the whole story. But yeah, basically that took a while, isn't it? And I'm kind of sorry for the people that had to wait like weeks seeing like something over here and then the whole week being like, what the fuck is going on? But I guess it's a lot easier when you have the whole script in your head and you're just like, oh yeah, I need to show this, I need to do this and da. And a couple of interesting things that I found is that technically, since the caretaker, the colorless clone, was the father of the clown, and the colorless clone is Grafo. Grafo was walking with his son, which is the clone, and even Grafo killed the other son without even knowing. It's his son from another timeline per se. And well, yeah, pretty much that would be the story as SrGrafo in time. I'm gonna put all of this into the website for easier reading, because it might be a little more comfy just with clicks and passing page to page. Well, unfortunately there is no really that many Easter eggs that I can pinpoint. There's a couple here and there, but it's mostly references to very, very old comics. Like, of course, there's we traveled back in time, but to Act Year. Mike with the shotgun too is also a reference to the Billy, what have you done? And then he shoots the person. But yeah, it all basically started with one Grafo that decided to not die and just get away with it. But he died. And that's it. That should be the lore explanation. I hope this helps. And I wonder if any of you actually pick it up the whole story and were like, yeah, I got it perfectly fine. Explain it. We don't need an explanation. Let me know if you actually managed to connect all the dots. So yeah, I'll start working in the next story, and I'll let you guys know once I start posting again in the subreddit for whatever is gonna be the next story. So until then, guys, have a good one, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow.